Hello and welcome everybody to this week's weekly energy report. I apologize for the background noise, but the central air is on full blast because it is hotter than hell here in Los Angeles this week. And it's about 110 degrees Fahrenheit, which I guess is probably about 43 degrees Celsius, and it sucks. So we're stuck indoors, the animals too, and they're not too happy about that, but you can see Charlie bopping about in the background. Hopefully he'll settle down, and hopefully we won't have a bunch of animal noises throughout this video because they have been exhausting me ever since I woke up this morning. Secondary note, on a personal level in myself, I am going through a very exciting but stressful change in my life. We're not quite at the point of change yet, but it's happening very rapidly, and I'm relocating to San Francisco. And I'm not sleeping very well as a result of all of this change. So if I look like a ghoul, fortunately, my iPad camera tends to have somewhat of a beautifying lens on it. I'm not sure exactly why, but I'm not complaining. But I do feel like I feel pretty haggard today. Not energetically, though. This morning was rough, and I do know that that was because of a Venus square with, I believe, Mars, and that's been taking place for the last 24 hours. It's Saturday today, as I record this for next week, which I suppose I could give you the dates, but I don't really remember them, so I think it's the 7th through the 15th of September. What can we say about the astrology? Well, there are some great things once you get past the square I just mentioned. Tomorrow Venus goes into Leo, and as a Leo myself, I'm very much looking forward to that because that's a sort of a beautifying energy in the sense that we sort of shine from within and move into that more leonine loving space where there's a real desire for expression of what we love and who we love, and manifesting new people to love, new experiences to love. And we bookend the week with another glorious shift, which is that Jupiter will be going direct after being retrograde for a few months. And that is also exciting because it's basically gonna push us forward towards solutions, big and bold solutions. Hopefully we'll see that in the outside world because frankly, and I'm not going to get political or speak on anything that's going on in the world right now in that sense because you really don't need me to reinforce it to you, but what a fucking hellhole. And these people that are supposed to be leading us in this world, whether they be potential candidates or current leaders, are, well, I honestly think that they must be from a different, species than I am, for certain. I can't speak for anybody else, but I'm like, whoa, like, this is like a whole other can of worms at this point, right? Anyway. The reading is really interesting. We have some very, very interesting oracle cards. I will start with, what do we have here? Our Sacred Destiny Oracle card, and I didn't look up the number, so what is that? The card itself, which I will show you in 1 second as soon as I've opened up this book. The butterfly, of course, representing transformation. I can say that there is nothing more apt than this card for how things are demonstrating themselves to myself. You know, I do that, and I'm going to say this because I know my mother watches this, but sometimes as I see myself on camera, I see my hands, and I'm like, oh my god, I totally have my mother's hands. Which is not a bad thing, because my mother has really nice hands, so... That was totally bizarre that I just said that. But anyway, it's there. Let's see what transformation tells us. This is the... I guess I'll hold it up while I read. Honestly, I may be a little dippy throughout this whole thing. Blue butterfly. It's no accident that the butterfly represents transformation, rebirth, and resurrection. Remarkably, when the caterpillar becomes a chrysalis, it doesn't just instantly become a butterfly. It actually dissolves into a kind of soup. In other words, it liquefies itself. And out of that emerges something completely different. It's a true transformation. In some cultures, blue butterflies are considered very good luck and even... That's supposed to be covering my face. And even wish granters. In Native American tribes, it's believed that a wish whispered to a butterfly will be granted when it flies to the heavens. The Native American shawl dance, which celebrates renewal... I don't know why when I'm thinking Native American shawl dance, I'm like seeing Stevie Nicks. Also, the color blue represents... Wait, did I finish that sentence? The Native American shawl dance, which celebrates renewal, is derived from the butterfly dance. I think I did say that, but who cares? Also, the color blue represents a calmness, peace, and spiritual attunement. And the blue butterfly is thought to carry all these meanings. The sacred landscape wants you to know that this is a time for change, reinvention, or rebirth into a new way of being. If you've been plodding along, this card suggests that you take measures to shift everything. Don't resist change. The blue color suggests a spiritual renewal or initiation. Transformation doesn't mean taking something old and remodeling it or rearranging a few things. It means becoming something completely different or doing something completely different. Change is often uncomfortable, but it is usually for the highest good. This is a very lucky card, and drawing this card can mean that a wish may be about to come true. Can't complain about that, right? I just got like a shiver. From the Wisdom of the Oracle, we got... Number 30. The glare on these cards is always terrible. TikTok. Also very apt in my case. I'm not sure about it, what's going on in your life, but I have gone from 0 to 100 in a matter of days, and TikTok indeed. So what does TikTok have to say to us? I guess I'll hold up that card again. I wish I could cover my face there. Let's do it this way. Whoop. This is really hard to do, but let's see. The essential meanings of TikTok: timelessness, divine timing, immeasurable time. The oracle message of TikTok is, when humans created time, everything changed and contracted. People have come to look at life in a linear way, imagining that the past is behind them and the future ahead of them. But what if this isn't true at all? What if everything, creativity, beauty, chaos, and order, were happening now in glorious timelessness? You have all the time in the world to co-create the life you desire, so release your agenda. Easier said than done, huh? Let go of your need to shape each moment to your expectations, knowing that what is yours will never be withheld from you. Miracles are here right now and always show up when you need them right on time. Also no complaints about that card, and I guess they all tie together, right? Let's now look at our Spirit Animal Oracle card. Number 43, Owl Spirit. You see clearly now. I do see clearly now, even if it's through very tired eyes. Tired and itchy eyes because we have horrible wildfires in California and the air is so polluted right now that anyway, no more complaints. I become delusional and delirious when I don't sleep enough, and I'm on day 5 of really shitty sleep, so I'm sure it makes for some amusement to watch. Fortunately, spirit is flowing through me, and I feel it, and so I'm not I'm just going with the flow, right? Owl Spirit arrives to remind you that the wisdom within you is informed by your keen senses and the wisdom within the consciousness we all share. Even in the darkest hour, the owl sees clearly and is guided by every sense it has, including the first sense of intuition. Right now, your sensitivities are turbocharged and you are receiving messages from all destinations. Owl Spirit reminds you to be wise and pay attention to what's between the lines, what is invisible to the naked eye, what cannot be heard with the ears, and what others may not be able to perceive. With all your senses aroused, you have much knowledge available to you. Clarity will come as you sit with all that you are sensing, allowing your intuition to guide you in understanding the whole and not just the parts. Let your wisdom arise and be your guide as you trust the acuity of all your senses. Intuition is real and can provide the clarity you need to understand your situation right now. Your relationships, your finances, your job, whatever it is, you can see the truth clearly now. And you do have to be sort of careful at the moment because there are some Neptunian influences that are making for a bit of a, well, let's just put it this way. Be very conscientious in terms of how you're dealing with other people, particularly new things in your life. Your intuition will ground you, so you will know when things are funky or off. But so I don't think that any of us have to worry, is what I'm saying, but that's not to say that there aren't, like, charlatans and misleading information out there. In fact, I already had that experience because as I was looking for accommodation for my move, of course there are things that are always too good to be true, and you kind of know it, but you explore it anyway. So going through the cesspool of listings on a site like Craigslist for short-term rentals means that you can come across some things that are questionable. And then when the person that you're in communication with doesn't answer your questions and sends you an address for a place that is clearly not what was advertised, you realize that it's a scam, you know? And that's just the way it is in this world. There are scammers, very dishonest, horrible people who will get their karmic due, right? It's just the way it is. But we have to use divine protection via our intuition and tapping into our higher selves. And not ever get discouraged because we know that we are divinely guided, and so therefore what we require and what we need for our journey to be successful will come to us in some shape or form. It might not be what we want, but it will be what we need, right? Big lesson. That it's easy to lose sight of when we don't stay in our practice. And of course, I'm a prime example of that because when you get tired, sometimes it's really hard to maintain your spiritual grounding. I have not prioritized meditation through this giant energetic shift in my life, and I feel it, and I feel, you know, I get into that cloudy space where I'm not entirely certain of that I'm paying attention to my body's needs, my mind's needs, and my spiritual needs, and so it causes a bit of a conjunction of chaos, which, by breaking it down into those disciplines, would never arise. Okay, so what I have done is I have just intuitively pulled cards that came out, and as they came out, we have our spread of 3 by 3, and basically the 3 are our energies that we're coming out of in our past, like that have set the tone for our present. We have 3 representing what we're dealing with right now emotionally as you listen to this, and whenever that may be over the course of the week. And then I wanted to pull cards for our upcoming energies, and guess what? Spirit decided to give me 2 cards that came out together, which I took as a principal card and a clarifier, and then I couldn't pull the 2 others, and I was intuitively guided to wait until I was on camera to pull those, so that maybe once we've worked through all of these energies, as I read through them, we will, and even clarifying those cards, then they'll be ready to give us our outcome. And I think I will pull a couple of Osho cards at the end for more of a vibrational flow forecast for us, or advice cards, should I say. Okay, our underlying energies. The King of Cups and the King of Swords, and they came out together, and so I'm not sure which would clarify which, so we'll take them as being actually a energy of duality, not in a negative sense, but more in the sense of these being equal parts of us. While they're both male represented cards in this deck, there are 2 types of energy that can be seen as the yin-yang, or I'm not going to go into all that, because then it gets into light and dark, and that's not what the purpose of these cards is here. But what it is the sort of truth of the King of Swords, as we know, is really the indicative of where we're coming into. We know our values now, and we know what we want to manifest. We know what inspires us, and our intellect is harnessed in wisdom and authority over ourselves. And this in turn coexists perfectly in equality with this divine mastery of our emotional selves too. And what this tells me as an underlying energy is that we need to remind ourselves of the processes that have led us to the King of Swords, so that it supports us in trusting our King of Cups energy. Because when we're shifting in our lives, and I do take it that if I am on some level in your life, you are probably shifting too, perhaps not in quite such a tangibly dramatic way, but certainly in some shape or form, internally or psychologically or emotionally or spiritually, or even professionally, or whatever it may be. So let's take that into consideration as we look at these cards, because all of it is geared towards the idea of the melding of 2 parts of ourselves. That is to say, the poverty consciousness from an emotional spectrum, and the wealth from a material perspective or spectrum. The knowledge being there, and then not necessarily knowing how to find synergy between the 2, which is where the alchemy exists. It's where the power of manifestation exists. And when we find ourselves in poverty consciousness on an emotional level, it generally manifests itself in our material realm as well, because we don't feel deserving of the things that could make us happy. And it's a real problem for many of us, certainly something that my guides and my teachers have been bringing my attention to over the course of the last couple of weeks. And it's certainly been a real dichotomy for me within, where I'm just like, can I allow myself to feel like I deserve to receive authentic manifestations of things that I desire? And if I am going for things I desire as a human being on the material plane, does that make me bad on the spiritual level? You know, this is all, as Adrienne Elise recently conveyed to me. It's really about, I'd say, Christian doctrine, but that's because it spoke to my value system from the way that I was raised, or the culture that I was raised in. But I mean, it could be, I suppose, any restrictive dictate of a belief system. But in Christianity, you know, poverty consciousness is something that is elevated. It's like, you know, the idea of sacrifice and the idea of selflessness, and the way that we've portrayed Jesus, you know, it's all about, you know, the more you sacrifice, the less you have, the closer to God you are, right? And, well, of course, people that are at the top of the totem pole, you know, want everybody to feel that way because they want to keep all the wealth for themselves, right? And so the moral and ethical issues that can arise as a result of that keep us tied down into thinking that we, you know, we know a limit, we know our standard, and maybe it's even subconscious programming that the level that we were at before, you know, it's like, if something bad happened to us as a result of that means, oh, it's confirmed, you know, I shouldn't be pursuing like wealth or comfort, you know. It's like, oh, let me keep myself really small and not like evolve beyond, you know, that. But I'm learning that these are just traps for us, to keep us anchored in misery and, again, poverty consciousness, which always sounds like such a broad term, but as soon as you say it to yourself and you associate it with your beliefs and your feelings, anything that negates your self-worth, your value, as you externalize yourself into the world, you know, you realize that there are very few people, certainly people that are likely to be watching me, who don't suffer from poverty consciousness on some level. We can tell ourselves all we want that we deserve all these wonderful things, but there's always, you know, we have scars from trauma of people throughout our lives who have made us feel small, who have belittled us, who have told us that we don't deserve things, who have made, on an egoic level, themselves seem as though they were more deserving, for whatever reason. And that causes subconscious neural passageways to become blocked, or to be reprogrammed into dead ends, you know? And we are stepping out of that through all of this work that we do, right? So our past energy starts with the Three of Swords, which is exactly that. It's the idea that we've been stuck in the muck and filth of the shame and the pain that has resulted from experiences that have conditioned us into poverty consciousness. And very recently, through these processes of spiritual awakening, we've come into an Ace of Cups, and the Ace of Cups is telling us that we actually emotionally have had opportunities through other people, through interactions, communication, through learning, through, whatever, like it's been in your case, but that has given you an emotional opportunity, an emotional gift of some sort, and you've probably, if you're watching this, figured out how to see that gift for what it's worth. Because, the cup has, it does have a specific depiction here of what is in the cup. I mean, this would be, I suppose, a dove of peace or heavenly presence, dropping off this cross coin. I do know that what the representation of that is, but I can't even think of it right now because I'm brain dead. But, the idea of what is in your cup, this representation shows that everything flows from the cup, and this goes into your subconscious mind, and here it's depicted as something that is fertile and also, it's an infinite flow, at peace with nature and everything. The waters are very calm, right? So it's the idea that this gift gives us a flow of conscious thought that is enriching for us. But what you put in your cup is your own choice. I mean, if you put like Kool-Aid or Coca-Cola or bullshit in your cup, that's what flows infinitely too, in abundance. And it's really hard for us to move beyond this energy and to have our cup filled with things that actually nourish us as a result of all that scarring. But we've done it. This is confirming that we have done that work to turn it into a beautiful flow of something nurturing. And what comes as a result of that? The Ace of Coins or Pentacles. And so this, in my case, I know specifically what the Ace of Pentacles is in my life, as having had an employment offer that is a great opportunity for me. Hopefully. I say hopefully, I guess to some degree that's up to me to make sure that it is, right? To walk the walk as well as talk the talk, right? So I don't know how that applies in your life, but I'm sure it does in some shape or form. Again, it doesn't have to be something grandiose. It can just be an understanding or a better sense of, the flow of what somebody else gives us in a relationship that is edifying in the outside world, and that we finally are able to receive that, Okay, so when you get nice things that give you hope and give you inspiration, what tends to happen, and this is in our present, is the Five of Wands. And the Five of Wands, basically, this is us going straight back into poverty consciousness, but with the things that we have been offered and that we've built for ourselves, that we've been divinely guided to receive. And then we're like defending ourselves, trying to, because there's a secret Four of Pentacles inside of us, of the poverty consciousness, of the miser spirit, of like, no, but I have this coin and I don't want to nobody can take it. Oh my God, somebody's gonna ruin it. In the process of going into this headspace, we may be finding ourselves feeling a little defensive. That's really what it is. Defense mechanisms come from a fear of not being enough, right? So it stands to reason. And of course, what happens as a result of that? Yikes. And I can totally relate, because this is me every night, although I don't wear whatever the frick that person's wearing, and I certainly don't have a bed that looks like that, or a bed, comfort, or duvet that looks like that either, because that would be hideous in my mind. And I don't sit up when I feel like this. Instead, well, if I'm sitting, I usually go like this. And if I'm not sitting and I'm lying down, I'm usually like just restless. And at the moment, I've reverted to something that I never ever thought I would be doing in my life, and that is that my sister had sent me balloons for my birthday, and it came with a white teddy bear. And if I cannot disturb the cat, I'll show you my white teddy bear, because this is what I've been doing at night. Here's my teddy bear, and I've literally been sleeping like this with my teddy bear. So, I mean, it's cute, right? And it is very soft, and so it's easy for me to, anyway, I'm oversharing, but that's okay, because it's my video, right? And I will take a clarifier on that when I pull those future cards or before I pull them, but, you know. And what is the worry about? This. Commitment, conformism, entering into the... Well, it's entering into a new structure. You know, this is structure, this is Saturn. You know, and Saturn, let's not forget, it's not for this reading, but Saturn at the end of September goes direct after being retrograde all summer. I can't even remember when it went retrograde at this point. Everything's sort of a blur, but, you know, so it's because it's coming up as the tail end of our present energy. It's like, we know that we're moving into this, and eventually it's going to give us, you know, the things that the gifts that we are entitled to, the gifts that are already there, but that, you know, because of what we just discussed, we can't always grasp and see, especially because when you first plant the seeds of a gift, you know, it's not like instant photosynthesis, right? It's like, it takes a while for something to grow. So that Hierophant there, which I will also take a clarifier on, is essentially telling us that the worry, this, you know, all created in our head, it's all projections of things that we, you know, these are all our past experiences. You know, oh, this sword hurt me, oh, this sword hurt me, oh, this one did this to me, and this one caused me to feel like this, and I'm scared, and I'm afraid, and I don't know how to do anything, basically, and I can't move forward because I've got so many restrictions that I've imposed upon myself in my head that I can't breathe, right? But the clarifier will give us insight into that, but I do think that there's an indication of the Saturn influence as it's coming out of its retrograde. You know, we're going to, you know, it tests patience, it tests endurance. It's, you know, Saturn is the delineation of the time structure for us. It's the, you know, it can be as restrictive and constrictive as it can be expansive. It's just a matter of your alignment with it, you know? But the promise of it is that the two cards that they did decide to give us for our future thus far were the Fool. So that's the brand new journey. This is, you know, this person, you know, they don't have a care in the world because they don't have anything to lose, and they've understood that, and they're in it to win. They're in it not to win like in the egoic sense, but in the sense of, I'm going to win the experience of what's on offer to me. And in doing that, I'm dropping all of this. I'm letting go of all this sorrow, all this contemplative, like, oh, look at me looking at my subconscious mind, and boo hoo 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 hoo, and like, that bridge could take me to that castle, but fuck that bridge because I'm focusing on this and these spilled cups of whatever the hell green and red liquid there is. And I'm not looking at these 2 cups that still are here. I mean, the 2 of Cups is one of the most beautiful cards, you know? It's an edifying union card. It's like partnerships of all sorts that are based on knowledge and of the heart and the mind melding, you know? So yeah. That's all I can say. Okay, give me clarifiers, please, Spirit, on the Hierophant. No, okay, this is what we're letting go of. Again, it's to say, you know, we have the 9 of Swords and the Hierophant, and what bridges those and what clarifies those? The 8 of Swords. Again, reminding us that this is all mental. It's all of our own creation. You know, this person is stuck so much in their poverty consciousness because they've allowed their narrative to be told by other people. Because some bitch or some bastard, or many probably, in some horrible experience, like, conditioned you and I to think that we did not deserve more, that we're too old, that we're too whatever, not enough of whatever, you know. And we've created our own prison, you know, and that's what causes us to feel this anxiety, the idea of, you know, imposition of any kind of structure. It's like, oh, it feels so much, you know, it's a false freedom, the idea that, like, by not participating we're free, you know. I mean, of course there's some, I suppose, if you just stay in a hangman position of, like, being completely, you know, in inertia, like, you would feel like that could for a while feel like freedom. And actually, I don't even need to really say it could. I can vouch for it. I think many of us can, because we've all been in this post-pandemic non-existence, you know, and that's sort of created that for us, a bubble of illusion. And certainly it's like, you know, we had the transformation card, so I mean, we can look at it also from the perspective that that was a necessary part of the transformation, and maybe that period of time that we've been in this, like, standstill in our lives, it's been us liquefying from the caterpillar form into the chrysalis, and, you know, and awaiting to emerge as the butterfly. And I lost my train of thought, but I think that the point was made in whatever I said. How about some outcome cards now? What do you think about that, Spirit? That would be really nice for us. I keep seeing the star, so I mean, we might not get any more future cards. Okay, this came out upside down, so the Tower reversed, so that's coming out of that I think feeling of unraveling, you know. It's like, I mean, I don't know how everyone else feels, but I mean, I've been unraveling for years, and I know that I'm sort of at the end of that process. I mean, there's only so much unraveling you can do, and eventually you get to this, you know. The cycle of the tarot is exactly that, the Fool's Journey. So once you reach the end with the World card, you come back to 0. So that stands to reason. And oh, nice. Okay. So what do we get? We get the Sun as our outcome, but the Sun clarified by the 2 of Pentacles, or these came out together. So again, And I also have the Ace of Swords here at the bottom of the deck. Just, we may use that for clarification on that too, because it's a mixed message, of course, right? Like the Pentacles, you know, Two of Pentacles, we've discussed this before. In order not to be on this journey of flip-flopping back and forth, you know, we have to drop one of these pentacles and focus on the one. We were given this. So, you know, whatever pentacle of your past that defined success, or your idea of like what you were, who you were, and how you were going to do it, you know, now with this new opportunities, like that are beautiful, amazing opportunities and circumstances with the sun there shining on us, you know, it's like, you gotta let go. We've got to let go of like what we thought our, you know, what our ideas were. You know, this is the sort of truth. You know, whatever we thought our truth was because of this. You know, it's like we eventually come to a place where we use this sword to slay all of that does not fit us anymore. And that's essentially getting rid of this. Otherwise, we find ourselves in this place. And if you look in the background, what does that mean? The subconscious mind is not smooth at all there, right? It's like, those are some waves that if you were on this ship, you probably wouldn't want to be on. Otherwise, you'd feel pretty uncomfortable. So, while it doesn't mean that we're going to fall apart because we're doing this, it's a lot of energy that's wasted when, you know, by dropping the old narrative allows us to go completely, into this place. And wouldn't you rather be this is your inner child coming out to play on this unicorn. Is it a unicorn? Yes, it is, because he's holding onto the horn. Or she is, I don't know. Yeah, you'd rather be that than be doing this, right? I mean, this doesn't look hideous, this Two of Pentacles, but this certainly is way more enticing. So, that's it, right? Okay, where are we at? 42 minutes. Let us pull a couple of Osho Zen Tarot cards. Sorry, I'm just putting those away because I don't have a lot of room on my desk. Oh, it's nice to have that reading, right? It feels like it feels like something's cleared. Mm-hmm. Oh god, what's going on here? I can't take those. It's too much. Let's go for 3, right? What do we have? Okay. One more, please. If you so please. Otherwise, I'll go for 2. Oh! Okay. Well. Okay, we got 4. And I'm not going to look at the meanings of these literally. What's this? Those are cups. That's water, and that is. What is that? Huh. I do have to look that one up. Okay, so we got awareness, as you know. That's what we saw. In fact, you know what? I am going to read awareness because that is a major arcana, and I don't know what it corresponds to because, as I said, my mathematical brain is kaput when I don't sleep enough. So let's see. The veil of illusion, or Maya, that has been keeping you from perceiving reality as it is starting to burn away. The fire is not the heated fire of passion, but the very cool flame of awareness. As it burns the veil, the face of a very delicate and childlike Buddha becomes visible. The awareness that is growing in you now is not the result of any conscious doing, nor do you need to struggle to make something happen. Any sense you might have had that you've been groping in the dark is dissolving now, or will be dissolving soon. Let yourself settle and remember that deep inside you are just a witness, eternally silent, aware, and unchanged. A channel is now opening from the circumference of activity to that center of witnessing. It will help you to become detached, and a new awareness will lift the veil from your eyes. Mind can never be intelligent. Only no mind is intelligent. Only no mind is original and radical. Only no mind is revolutionary, revolution in action. This mind gives you a sort of stupor. Burdened by the memories of the past, burdened by the projections of the future, you go on living at the minimum. You don't live at the maximum. Your flame remains very dim. Once you start dropping thoughts, the dust that you have collected in the past, the flame arises, clean, clear, alive, young. Your whole life becomes a flame, and a flame without any smoke. That is what awareness is. Well, that is extraordinarily apt, right? After all that we've just had in our reading, because that's precisely what it is. Dropping the old stories, not being that juggler, in order to just be. The circumstances are there. The story unravels with every breath that we take, every moment that we're present. And all we can do is have faith in ourselves based upon the power of our spirit to imbue each moment with the knowledge of divine in order to, and having that knowledge that what we need is always presented to us and for us. We'll take that, and then we'll take these three other cards as sort of clarifiers on that energy, and we got what would be the what is that? 10 of Swords Rebirth. So we had this card recently, so I think if you watch that, you'll know all the details of the myth of the the camel and the lion and the boy. Rebirth again. That's the end of the cycle, the beginning of a new one. The Fool, We get this, which came out, I don't know if it came out reverse because it was sort of like this, but I took it as reverse. But when I think about it, it could be either way, because letting go, this is 8 of Cups. This is walking away from things that no longer serve us in order to reach for that 9th and 10th cup. But in reverse, it's also telling us that because we are in rebirth, we no longer need to do this process. Again, drop that one pentacle in the juggling act, drop those old stories, and this card, I guess, is this. So, pay me no mind. I don't know if that made any sense. And finally, we got what would be the Queen of Cups, Receptivity. And this is being in our divine feminine power at its most potent and expressive. And as you can see from the depiction, it's the most receptive energy to, the most receptive vessel to the energy of the universe. So again, when we let go, when we drop one of those pentacles in order to be in alignment with the present moment and the opportunities that are already there, the universe is constantly conspiring to assist us. rather than being in that Nine of Swords, worry, I need to control everything, and like I can't control everything, so I'm a failure and everything's gonna fall apart, you know, and what if? In doing that, we close ourselves off and we become completely unreceptive. So, some pretty amazing on-point messages that all flow with each other. And I hate to be abrupt, but that's all we are getting. I wish you a wonderful week ahead. I will be back next weekend. Who knows where or how or in what capacity, but I will see you there. In the meantime, namaste, love, and light to all. That looked like I was like trying to be like Elizabeth Montgomery in Bewitched, so I won't do that again. Or I Dream of Jeannie, or whatever it was. I don't remember. Who cares? Love you.